Hey sightseers, Sightseeing Sally here, and Marty is around somewhere, and we're down in the Salton Sea checking things out. This will be our third time exploring down by the Salton Sea, and I have to say, every single time we happen to find just even weirder and weirder stuff. Today we're scoping out what appears to be an old abandoned resort of some sort with some hot springs. If I'm not mistaken, this used to be known as the Adobe Springs Resort. That makes sense because it looks like it was built like a traditional adobe building. It was quite the setup here. A lot of different pools, indoor, outdoor, all kinds of options. Wow, really not much left here. It's in pretty rough shape. You can see evidence of a fire. So at some point this thing was burnt. And of course, not being taken care of, some structural collapse. What strikes me most about the landscape here is if you look down, you can see how the ground is just kind of bubbled up, and there's the white stuff on top, which would be salt. But all that bubbling up of the land is because this area, if you'll notice the plant in the background, is known for its geothermal properties underground. And actually, we'll be heading over to a geothermal spot here shortly called the Mud Pots, which I guess are little pots of mud bubbling up out of the ground. Maybe not real pots, but they call them pots. They're like miniature volcanoes. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're exploring this resort, and I want to walk over by where I believe the old spas used to be. I don't know about you, but this pond looks more like a toxic soup than it does a very inviting hot bath. I don't know, maybe at one time this was a wonderful place to come and soak yourself, but there's no way. I don't think you could pay me enough to go down in that thing. Anyways, I imagine this was like a bathhouse of some sort where you probably changed either in to a bathing suit or out of your clothes, depending on what the rules of clothing were here, because some of the resorts are known to be clothing optional. Whether this place was at one time, I don't know. But you can see steps going up here into what I believe would have been other pools where they likely pumped water up into probably the very same water that you see in that big pit that's circulating down below. From this angle, you can see that the building has virtually collapsed in the pond here, which I have no idea if this was supposed to be here or if this was a sinkhole that opened up, although you can see a pipe coming out of the ground over there. If anybody's from the Salton Sea area and knows, let me know in the comment section below. If we pan over here, we can see other pools that you probably rented so you could have your own private pool party. As I mentioned before, there's evidence of a fire here, and if you look, you can see the blackened timbers up above, and then down below, burned out timbers that are left. So somebody did a number on this place. I don't know how recently. You never know out here in the Salton Sea. It's a thing. There's been stuff that's been abandoned out here for years. So it's hard to know when it happened. Judging by the size of the fireplace, I imagine at one time that was the focal point of this room. If we take a closer look, we can see embedded in with the stones are these glass things, which I believe used to be part of the old telegraph system. So imagine at one time this was probably a great place to vacation. Fortunately, it no longer is. Well, I guess it depends on your idea of the ideal vacation, right? It always amazes me that a state like California, with its Malibu Barbies, surfer boys, orange groves, would have such desolate and apocalyptic looking places. It just blows my mind. Just saying. I'm kind of bummed. I was all hyped up to be able to hang out in the hot springs today, but no way. No way am I doing it. You can see out on the water there where the water's disturbed. I believe those are all them boatman's flies. Ooh. If you know anything about boatman's flies, when you're down by the Salton Sea, they swarm your vehicle. It seems the darker the vehicle, the more they're attracted to them. When we were down here last with the Prius, with it being black, you can imagine how bad it was. And I'm not exaggerating when I say hundreds, if not thousands of them things just covering the entire vehicle. Nice to see some things don't change when you haven't been around them in a while. Kind of like coming back home, I guess. Anywho, let's take a peek inside the building. Looks like the water has infiltrated. We ain't gonna be walking in there. Not without some big waders, hazmat suit maybe. 'Cause yeah, stuff out here, you don't know how toxic it can be. So I wouldn't advise swimming in the Salton Sea or hanging out in these hot springs. This side doesn't look like it is too wet, so we'll just peek on in. There's the proverbial toilet. Oh look, somebody put up what looks like some old birdhouses out there. That's kind of bizarre. And if you look, you can see they're covered in spider webs. I don't want to find out what kind of spiders made them webs, so. Man, it's kind of weird. Oh, there's more of them over here. Bizarre. This is by far the bizarrest thing I've seen. Wonder who did that. Oh. Some graffiti. I guess one of the things I like about coming out by the Salton Sea is that it is so deserted and desolate and usually devoid of other human beings, but today we ran into a couple other individuals out here. Graffiti artist. It's just cool. I've never seen graffiti being done in action. So that was kind of neat. Now, it's not like we exchanged names or anything, so, well, they got the name of my channel, but as far as I have no idea who they are, and unless they look me up on YouTube, they have no idea who I am, and we had a nice conversation, or at least Marty did with them. I was kind of more involved in filming, so I didn't really chit-chat too long with them, but it's kind of neat being able to make an acquaintance with some people out in the middle of nowhere. Well, Marty's waiting for me in the truck, and we're gonna head over to the hot pots. Mud pots, not hot pots. Next, so I think we've seen enough. There really isn't a whole lot here, and well, how much of this can you look at anyways? Time for to move on.
But I don't know where it's at.
You ready to hit the road and find those mud pots? Mud pits?
We'll find both of them.
Are we gonna do some mud wrestling?
Yeah.
Already just saw something here on the side of the road. We're gonna flip the camera around. Look at that old shack. Pull the old fifth wheel up and camp here, huh?
It's got all kinds of good stuff in there I'd like to go through.
Oh.
I think it was a Hooters.
Yeah, Hooters. You know what happened to Hooters, right?
Hooters, they went tits up.
Well, we've arrived.
Oh, hey, look at these guys.
What do you got?
Puppies. Don't get too close. You don't want them to get
Oh,
crazy in the vehicle.
yeah.
Yeah, walk over there and film it.
They're all giving me the old eyeball. And there's the mud pots. These are the mud pits, or mud pots. Just like mini volcanoes of mud. I was just gonna stop and be quiet for a second and so you can listen to the sound of it. Kind of reminds me of like a coffee percolator. I guess they tend to be more active after the area's gotten a lot of precipitation. That one's active. Who would have thought that some mud bubbling out of the earth would be so fascinating? But I don't know. I think it's really cool to see this. This one sounds like a heavy breather. You know, the kind that you get prank calls from. In the background, you can see the geothermal plant utilizing the energy that is obviously underground. I hear people collect the mud and use it for like facial masks or body masks. I'm kind of wondering if collect some of it and sell it to Kim Kardashian if I maybe make some millions on this. Anyways. Really fascinating. Just, I don't know, mud bubbling out of the earth. But I guess what's fascinating about it is the fact that it is basically volcanic activity underneath the ground. And we are in that area of California where that big fault is. And they say the big one is coming as far as earthquakes go. And that is evidence of the seismic activity underground, and you know, one of these days these mud pots might just blow. If you enjoyed the vid, give it a big old thumbs up. They're free. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification so you don't miss out on any of our future adventures. Until next time, this is Sightseeing Sally and Marty and Jack. Say it. See you on the flip side. Special thanks goes out to all our fellow sightseers here on Patreon and PayPal. Without you, these videos wouldn't be possible.